everybody, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's presentation on Protostructure 2022. I hope you're all getting on with things after COVID and starting to make rapid progress in whatever you're up to with your projects. I'm Nigel Watts, and I'm a structural engineer by training, and I'm the managing director for Prota Software based out of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So I'm calling you today, I'm online today from very warm and humid Malaysia at present. So today I'm going to just rip through the agenda quite quickly, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the business. I just want to sort of set the scene for today and talk you through the amazing release that we have with the 2022 version. So I'm just going to give you some very brief background on us and kind of what makes Prota unique. And I'm then just going to dive straight into the software and show you Protostructure 2022 live. I'll also finish for those of you who are active users of the software, I just want to highlight some unique things that we have where you can gain more insight into getting the most out of your investment with us to finish with. So, Protostructure 2022. Well, Protostructure 2022 is a unique platform for building design. And what we mean by unique is it integrates in one solution the entire modeling and design, analysis, detailing, fabrication, and BIM process all into one, seamlessly allowing you to integrate that whole process in one solution. Okay, and this allows our users to rapidly deliver projects wherever they are using one tool. Okay, now Protostructure is broken into different modules to allow us to deliver that. We have Protostructure, which is the core system which allows you to model, analyze, and design your building structures, and it is complemented with other tools. Protodetails is a system that is actually a complete CAD system that allows us to create details automatically from Protostructure. It focuses on the concrete detailing, but it's also a complete CAD system and allows you to create drawings. We also have a unique design library of calculations in here for designing things like retaining walls, piles, even things like swimming pools. So the kind of things that you may not typically design within Protostructure. Protosteel complements the steel design by automating all the steelwork connection design and providing comprehensive steelwork detailing. Now this is right down to fabrication detailing. Generally though, our users will use it for engineering detailing, but you have a choice in here and you can go into as much detail as you wish. And finally, ProtoBIM. Now, ProtoBIM is actually a collection of enablers to allow you to communicate with other platforms. So whether you're wanting to share models with Revit, maybe through IFCs, maybe just even wanting to take advantage of DXF information, or share information with other platforms like ArchiCAD through SAF, or even just sharing analytical data with the likes of SAP and ETABS. So ProtoBIM allows us to connect with other tools, other systems that you may be using. Now, we've been really busy over the last few years and expanding our reach around the world, and that now covers 25 international design codes. We now support 9 languages, many of which I can't communicate in, but from Thai to Spanish to Portuguese, even Hungarian, and as well as obviously English, we are supporting an increasingly large number of languages. We've also been very busy writing many design guides over the last few years to help explain to you and give you insight into how the software works. In particular, technical guides that cover things like seismic loading to say IBC and UBC, guidance and things like punching shear checks, guidance on things like foundation design. So there's a really wealth of knowledge and technical detail in those design guides which are available to you, and you can actually access a lot of these from our website. Now, we have been growing around the world. We are now supporting over 70 countries around the world through partners as well as directly from Prota where we can. And so that covers us from the Americas through to Africa, up into Europe, and across to India and into Southeast Asia. All around the world now, we've got an amazing user base using our technology. Now, the focus of ProtaStructure 2022, beyond what we delivered with the 21 version, is to introduce you with new modeling and design capabilities. We've added new codes and increased the amount of localization or customization work we've been doing. We've also improved the underlying performance of the system. We've made significant gains in speed and usability. And we also have continued to enhance our BIM integration. So these are the pillars by which we are working to continue to develop and enhance the system to suit your requirements. So today, what I want to do is give you some insight into that, and I'm going to take you through the latest version of the software. So I'm now going to just get straight in. Excuse me, I'm just minimizing a few things, and I'm opening up the system. Now this is the latest build, commercial build that we have of ProtaStructure 2022. You can see it's build 392. And when you first come into the system, you'll see, you can see off the left there, maybe different projects that you've been working on. Okay, you can see whether you're up to date with your system. We also have an alpha channel, so for those of you who want advanced builds, they can be made available to you. As well as a resource center here. So the resources are where you can find out more about the system, what's new, help center, training videos, design guides. All this is centrally located, and there's a wealth of knowledge and information that you can take advantage of. Now, I'm going to just dive straight in and create a new project, and let's just call this PS 2022. And I'm going to grab a template here. So we've got different templates from around the world, and these will cover the local design and detailing preferences that you have. So whether you're designing a project in Brazil, Indonesia, Malaysia, across into Europe, Poland, Turkey, South Africa, wherever you are in the world, there's different templates that are customized to suit the way you will design and deliver your work, whether it's typical material typical materials that you use in practice, or your design preferences locally. We've customized and molded ProtaStructure to suit your local requirements. So for this example today, I'm going to draw upon the Malaysian Eurocode, okay, and I'm going to look at a medium ductile setting for using this. Now, when we load the system, okay, we've tried to make the interface very simple and easy to use. So across to the left here, you can see that there's a tree, and the tree contains lots of different information about what you've been modeling, and you can access that information directly from the tree. And then along the top here, you'll see that we've logically laid this out. So you can start with building set out, you can then move to modeling, where you can create your different elements, you can load things, you can review different aspects of the model before you move into your analysis and design. Once you've finished the design, you can then start to produce your output, so your drawings and your reports, as well as integrate it and connect it with other platforms that you may be interested in. So we've laid this out in a very simplistic way to enable you to logically move through a project that you're working on. Now, we've also, in recent releases, collected all the detail, the things like settings, all in one place. So you've got different settings here that you can see. Okay, you can come in here and change things like languages on the fly, report languages and the like can be changed. In here there are some new formats that we've introduced. So if you're having to do imperial units, you can on the fly change from SI metric units into imperial units. You can actually start the project in metrics, and you can move into imperial units if you're not so familiar with imperial units. And you can also tick on things like codes. So if I wanted to know what kind of codes does ProtoStructure support, so I can click on these and I can see a range of different codes here, different variations of the American code, including the latest 2019, the British standards, Hong Kong standards, Turkish codes, Euro codes. There's a really wide range of different codes in here, including a lot of localizations that we've done for things like Peru, Brazil, Indonesia and Philippines. Some of our Indian users, I know you've been waiting for a while and you're really quite getting quite excited. We are looking at introducing the Indian codes at the end of this year. So that's something for everyone across India to look forward to. So you can come and choose the different codes of practice you want to use, whether it's a concrete design or maybe seismic codes, IBC, UBC, and you can mix and match these codes within here. So you can if it's not what the template has, you can come in and customize this to suit what it is that you require. Similarly, things like design settings, maybe you've got preferences for different types of rebar. And this is probably a nice place to introduce a little bit of what we've been doing with rebars. With this version, we've actually introduced a completely new beam design system that includes a new logic for design and detailing of the beams. So in here, you'll see that there's a range of different flexible patterning systems that you can use, whether it's standard patterns that we've had in the past, or maybe you're wanting to use multi-layer patterns. So you can come in here and choose what might be your preference, and then you can set these as default if you wish, okay? You can set these up for different floors, rib beams, foundation beams. So the idea behind all of this is that you can customize everything within here to suit your project, okay? But you don't need to worry. All of this is generally handled at the start. You just choose your preferred template and away you go. But if you do want to come in and make changes into your preferences here, things like the way you curtail, maybe how you like your bobs detailed out, all this type of thing is within your control, and you can make changes in here. Now I'm at this point just going to start to build a simple model, okay? And the way I'm going to do this is just by laying out some grids, and I'm just going to key in some basic axes here. You can see I'm just quickly keying these in. Okay, I'm doing this live, so on the fly. So if something doesn't work as we're going, please forgive me if I go too fast. Okay, once you've got a basic grid line arrangement, you can work with it. So if you would like to say offset axes, for example, you can. So we use the axes to help us set out, and I can key in different types of dimensions here. Okay, grid lines are adaptable. So for example, I have the properties of this grid line. Okay, if I want to change things in here, I can. If I want to maybe hide a bubble, for example, I don't want these seen, I can make changes in here, or if I want to expose them, I can. There's different ways in which you can work with these. I can stretch axes, I can bring them in, I can reposition them to suit. Okay, I'm just going to, for this particular axis, I'm just going to bring it in slightly to where I'd like this to be located, okay, and I can see that in the view here, okay. I can also create other axes here. I'm just going to build another axis over here, okay, and this time around I've just chosen to turn the bubbles off. I just want to hide that away, so I'm not looking at that, okay. I can quickly come and do this, okay. Now I'm going to start by just creating some walls. So I'm actually going to build a basement wall here. So I'm just running around the periphery here, and I'm just creating my what might be a basement wall. Okay, so I can just run around and key these in as I go. I may also have some internal walls here, so I might wish to create a lift core here. So let's just come in and create that quickly. Okay, and I'm going to create maybe an E-shaped wall. Maybe I've got a couple of lifts running up in this building that I need to create. I can just quickly come in and do that. Okay, now the next step might be to, at this point, come in and put in some beams. So we can click on the beam icon, okay, and you can key in the size of the beam that you may wish to use. And you can, if you quickly want to create beams, you can just box around. So I just quickly want to fill that bay of beams in here. I can then come and create additional beams. So I don't have to worry about overlapping. These elements are existing. I can just come in and put those extra members in across here. Okay, maybe another one down here. Let's just pull that through. Okay, actually, wait a minute. Let me do that one more time. Okay, I've got ahead of myself there. Oopsie daisies. Let me just open a view. Okay. All right, so you can see my 3D view there. I'll just re-establish the plan view. That was a little error with the system. So let me just carry on with this. So let me choose a beam here. Let's just pull that through. Okay. Yes, I can just do that. Now what you'll notice is that the existing beams are already here, and it's just put in the extra beams as we would wanted to create them. Now at this point, I'm going to come in and create some slab loading. Okay. Now if I come in and model the slabs here, if I just choose slabs, at this point in time, we've not actually defined any load combinations at this point. So it's going to direct me into creating the load combinations. We can then assign different loading to different parts of the slab. So whether it's live load, dead loads, maybe superimposed dead loads, that when you generate the combinations, they then get created, and then you can go away and assign different loads to those. So I'm just going to generate combinations here. You can choose your load combinations, both vertical as well as lateral cases. Pattern loading and the type is automatically taken care of. I'm also going to define some seismic cases here. I could also set up wind loading with Eurocode. Notional loads get automatically set up. I can also set up a soil pressure cases here. So you can just set these up, and if you hit OK, it's then generating all these different combinations automatically to the code, and you can see them all here. Okay, I can, if I don't wish to have so many cases, I can look to remove some. Okay, so you do have the ability to be able to edit on the fly. Okay, I've got a soil pressure a case at the bottom here. Okay, and I can also come in and make changes in here. So I can add maybe different cases. I'm just going to remove one here. So I'm going to have this acting in the same case. You also have the ability now with this version to be able to create any additional load case that you like. So if you would like to split out, for example, your dead load and your superimposed dead load, you could create a G superimposed case in here, and you could then assign loads to that case. So we now have full flexibility over creating any load case that you like within the system. Okay, it's all very versatile. Maybe you've got a crane load case and so on that's not covered by the combinations that we have here. You can easily come in and do that. So I've just gone and done that, and now I'm at a point where I can come in and define a slab. So I can give it a thickness. The self-weight's calculated. We can choose from finishes here. If we're not sure about live loading, okay, maybe this is an office area at or below ground level, and it will give me some guidance on what I can use. So we can just come in and quickly create those loading. Okay. Now you will see, or you'll notice here, that I've automatically loading's automatically been distributed from the slab to the beams, and you can see the yield line that's been created here. At this point, I'm going to just come in and insert some stories. So let's assume that this building is maybe 6 stories high. Okay, and I'm just going to use, and then it will create the placeholders for those floors. Now, you can, if you get within the building, maybe you end up having to create an intermediate floor as you're going. Maybe you made some mistakes with this. This is very flexible, so you can on the fly make changes in here as you go. And if I go back to this floor, I'm now going to just come in, I'm going to come and select this. Before I do, I select this floor and generate up. I'm just going to choose this wall system here. And at this point, I'm going to ask it to merge those vertical members. So this core wall is now one single element. When you do have things like complex core walls in this shape, we have some really unique tools to help you design these. And we have something that's called automatic containment. Okay, so in here, I can ask the system to automatically work out how we contain this. okay, and it will propose to me a containment arrangement. So this is a bit of a template that then gets saved away. You can see the end zones and so on are being automatically created there for what would be quite a complex element to have to design and detail. So I can accept that, and we can move on. Now, what I'd like to do at this point is I'm just going to take these elements here, okay, this core wall, slab, and beams, and if I right-click, I'm able to generate these elements to other stories. So I can choose to generate these elements to the second floor. So if I hit OK, you'll notice that these are now being populated, just these elements into the second floor, okay? And I've quickly come in and created this and populated these in here. Now at this point, I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a couple of things in here. So I wish to create maybe a curved grid, okay? And I can just come in and define my curved axis here. I can come in and key in a chord to position that, and you can see that I've just added to this building a little bit here. Now I'm going to define now some columns, and these columns are going to rest on top of our basement wall. So I can just place these where I'd like them to be. Maybe I've got some columns here. Okay, I can establish those. If you've got columns that are orientated differently, I want to put some columns along the curvature of this grid. Okay, and maybe I just want to place these columns here. You can see that they've been set up here. Now we do have libraries of, to make it easy, there's lots of libraries of standard elements. So whether you're working with concrete or maybe steel or built up sections, cold form sections, they're all available in library here, and you can come and choose from these. Okay, so if I wanted to quickly maybe define a circular column, I can do so. All the engineering properties are automatically calculated for you, and then you can start to work with those in the model. So I can just come in here and create some columns. Okay, we can just run around and position those accordingly. Okay, now I may want to carry on and start to go and create some beams. So I can put beams in by boxing around. Okay, I can just snap between points. So I'm putting the curved section there along that grid. Okay, I can continue that process, so we can run around the edge there and put in those other members quickly. Okay, similarly to before, I can just box around and put a number of members in very quickly. Okay, and then it will just create those additional members. I can just pull members through. So we've tried to make this very, very fast, very, very intuitive for you to be able to quickly come and create these elements. Now, if you have secondary elements, secondary beams, you can snap to handy points. So if I want to snap to the midspan of this beam, come and place a beam here or another beam here, we can do this. If we'd like to key in a specific distance, if you just mouse over the beam, you can type that distance in, and then it will pick up handy points like for example, the perpendicular. And once you've got members in, you can move these around. So these are not fixed, they're dynamic, and you can make changes to these to suit the arrangement. Now, at this point, I'm going to, I might have those slightly off. I hope that's okay. We'll find out later. Now, if you've got other columns, maybe these columns here, you would want to reposition them. Okay, you can make these changes in here. All of this is dynamic, okay, and that can easily be done. I'm going to just choose some different loading. So you don't have to follow the loading that's been predefined. You can set up your own loads in here. You can just type them in if you wish, okay, and you can place various slab panels. If you want to have different finishes, maybe you're not sure about the type of loading that needs to be in a particular area, you can come in and just choose what might be appropriate for the different parts of the building that you're working with. So you can just quickly box these around, and then those are created here. Okay. Now I'm going to just switch so that you can see what I'm doing both in plan as well as in 3D. So you can see here I've got the beginnings of a model where we have a basement structure, and I've got first and second story now established. Okay. Now at this point, I may want to come in and start to define some other type of loading. So I have a loading I can just click on a member, and this is where you'll see our brand new load editor. Okay, so if you just click on a member, go to edit loads, you'll see this brand new load editor, and in here you now have the ability to be able to define any type of loading you wish. Now for this member, I'd like to define a wall load. I can click on this and I can choose from predefined, say, brick walls. So it could be lightweight block or brick wall. And here you can choose. Okay, you can come in and enter in your proposed height of the wall. Okay, and to assign that load, you just simply click on the member and that will be set up. Now this load editor will allow you to set up and create other types of loads. So it could be point loads, uniform loads, partial loads, trapezoidal loads, and these can be assigned in any direction or in any orientation to the member. Okay. Now, if I just hit OK, you'll notice that that's now created, and I can visualize that in the model. Okay, so you can see that loading there. You can then you can then at this point copy this. Okay, and it'll ask you what you want to copy. So I'm going to copy the brick wall. I can just accept that. And then you can box around and you can just choose what elements you might want to copy it to. So you can box around for several elements here, okay? And then once you're ready, you want to paste those loads, then you can see that they've been quickly pasted around that model there. Now, I can also do something called insert wall by dragging. So if I have a brick wall and maybe it's not going the full width of a beam, it might be just going to a certain point, we can just come and define that. If you wish to insert a wall very accurately along a distance of a beam, you can just step at 100 millimeter intervals along a beam to paste that. Now, if you do have architectural drawings in behind, of course, you can use those and you can snap to points within those to create those elements. Now, how can I use this in other ways? So if I go to back to loading, you can also come and create other types of loads that may be acting on, say, the slab. I may have a plinth, and perhaps I want to define the load for that. Now, it could be a bit of equipment, and I wish to place that loading directly onto the slab here. However, that particular plinth, I may wish to use that load elsewhere. So if I come back to if I come back to copy that load, I can choose to copy that particular plinth, that area load. Okay, and I can, if I hit OK, I can then choose other elements. So maybe this slab and perhaps this one over here, and we can then paste those loadings. So very quickly you can see I've just assimilated those loading to those other parts of my building. Okay. It could be other types of loads. So perhaps I have a line load. It could be perhaps a brick wall or something, and maybe I'm wanting this to sit directly on my slab for some reason. Okay, we can come in and define that load. And again, if I come back to the copy loads command, okay, it'll ask me what I want to copy. Okay, I just want to copy the wall load. Okay, and then I can just come and choose other elements which I'd like to copy that to. So we can just copy and paste, and you can see that loading's just been replicated to other parts of the structure. So this is a really great tool, particularly if you've got a lot of repetitive equipment or other loads that you wish to assign to the building. So this new loads editor just allows you the freedom and flexibility to be able to assign and create those very, very quickly. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to take this floor, which is story 2, okay, and I'm going to come in and generate up the this to other floors. So I can copy this floor, and I'm going to choose to replicate this to the 3rd and 4th floor, okay. And if I hit OK, you can see that those floors have now been generated upwards, okay. Now if I come up to the 4th floor, okay, and you can see I'm just kind of working between the 3D view and the plan. But if I come up to the 4th floor here, let me select the story 4. You can see that that's now changed. Now if I select this, okay, there's a new filtering command in here, so I can filter the selection sorry, I filter the selection here, and I can choose what I want to select. So it could be that I just would like to select the columns and the shear walls, okay? So I'll just turn the other ones off. I've selected those, okay? Now at this point, I will then want to come and generate these. So I'm going to copy these to my 5th floor. And if I hit OK, you can see that that's then generated upwards, okay? And I've now got those elements in at the 5th floor, okay? And my plan views changed to the 5th floor because I want to start working at this level. Now, at this point, I'm going to come and use something that provides a lot of flexibility, and that's using polylines. And what I want to do here is I'm just going to use a polyline to help me define what might be the edge of a slab for the building, okay? So I can just run around here, and I can choose, I can use the polyline. You can work with the polyline, you can create arcs as well as lines, okay? And you can sketch out the shape profile that you might want to have at the roof here. So I'm just, as you can see here, I'm just running around and I'm sketching a profile here. So let me just connect that, and you can see I've now created a profile here, okay? And I'm going to use this in a minute. Before I do that though, I am just going to pop back down to the 4th floor. I can just come in and choose to also select, maybe I wanted to select some certain beams, and I want to just generate these up to the other floors. So I can create these and just populate those up to the 5th floor, and you can see that those beams have been copied up. So it's really, very flexible, allowing you just to quickly come in and define and copy different elements that you may wish to use. Now, once I'm at this level, okay, if I go back to my slab command, there is now a new command in the slabs. I can choose to key in a thickness. So let's just say it's, let's just say for argument's sake, it's 250. Okay, and I'm going to choose to pick a closed edge slab. Okay, so if I choose that and I assign that, you can see that I've now put a blanket slab over that whole surface. Okay, I didn't have to create individual slab panels, and I've used that polyline to create what it is that I'd like to have at that roof level here. Okay. Now, I could carry on in here. Maybe I'd like to just introduce some openings. I may have opening in the core wall there where I want to have access to the lift carriage below. So I could create that in here, and you can make use of that. You could place that below in those two lift lobbies there. Okay, so you can adapt and make changes to the slab as you go. Okay. Now I'm this is a kind of a flat slab level. Let's move up to the roof level, okay? And I'm going to just do that for both. I'm just going to change the view so that you can see here. I'm just going to look at one view here. So I'm now at the roof level, and at this point I wish to just create a little bit of steel work. So if I go back to the modeling tab, you can see that you've got different types of steel elements here that you can work with. I'm going to choose column, okay, and I can choose from different libraries of sections. All the sections that we are aware of around the world are all available in here. You can come and choose a particular library. Maybe I want to grab a British section, for example. We can just select something from the library, and then we can work with this. So to create elements, I can just drag them. Okay, so I'm just creating some columns along the roof edge there. Okay, and I may at this point want to insert a truss. Maybe I've got some sort of canopy sitting on top of this roof, this concrete structure that I wish to create. I can come in here and do that. So if I select or choose 2 points between the columns here, okay, you can see a truss here. Now you've got a range of different predefined trusses that we have set up here that you can choose from. You can import a drawing, whether maybe it's a DXF file, and maybe you've got a very unique truss that you want to use. You can bring that in, overlay it, and you can use that profile to generate your truss. You can also create your own user-defined trusses. So if you have your coordinates that you wish to key in, nodes and so on, points that you wish to use, then you can make use of that as well. I'm going to grab a truss here from the library. Okay, I can choose how I want that inserted. So there's handy tools here for putting it within a column. So I'm actually want the column to extend to the top of the truss there. What you'll notice here is it's actually previewing what we're going to create as we move through this. I can make changes to say the end base here. Maybe you want to have that as 750. We can come and do that. Okay, I can work with this just to manipulate it to suit what I want to have. You know, I've got angles here. Maybe I want to use back-to-backs for the whole fabrication of this. Okay, or if I want to use tubular sections or channels or whatever it is I'd like to use, I can come in here and define. Now you can also play with your fixities in here if you want to change those. This is very flexible, but once you're done, you can just accept that, and that truss will then be created. Now I can then take this and we can replicate this to those other frames, okay? And so you can quickly just come in and establish that across the building here. Now let's put in some beams, and to do that, again, I can just choose a section from the library. Okay, you can choose the size, the weight, and so on that you want to use. You can also play with your fixities. Now we've given complete freedom on all the end releases now for any member within ProtaStructure. So if you want to torsional releases or axial releases and so on, you can set these up. But I'm just going to treat this as being a pinned beam. Okay, and I can just come and model that. Now, typically when you model, it will if you did that in most software, that will be one element. It knows that these columns exist, so it's asking me whether or not I'd like to split those, and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to ask it to split those elements. Okay, so it's just gone in and created a single elements for each of those members. Now I can carry on. I'm going to choose something a little bit different for the roof, so I may have something in the plane of the roof that I want to use, some particular section that I want to tie the apex there by, and I can model those in as well as we go. Okay, and just create those. Okay. Some of the users will notice as I'm going that it's actually telling me which end is which. So I and J is being picked up, which is just useful to understand which end of the element that you're working with as you're doing this. Now, in terms of modeling, let's go now, and at this point maybe I want to create some bracing. So I can just choose a couple of bays that I'd like to brace, and it will preview a brace for me. Now we can play with the member sizes. Maybe in here I want to use some form of tubular section. Okay, I can choose that. But you've got different types of bracing arrangements you can choose from. All this can be adapted and edited to suit your requirements. So if I just hit OK, that will be created here. Okay. Now I'm going to model around and just put these in. Okay. Maybe I want to also brace the truss. So when I do that, it will preview the bracing here. Okay. And I don't want any braces in the bottom chord, but I do want some braces in the top. So we can just define how many braces we'd like to see. Okay, I could have 2, maybe let's make it 3. That might be a bit more practical. Okay, so let's just define those in there, and you'll preview this, and then we hit OK, and then they just get automatically set up for you. Okay, just like that. Okay, you can come and use the frame member model if you just wanted to free draw the braces in. Okay, you can use this and snap to various points along the columns or the trusses to assign those if you wish. Okay. Now we come to purlins. Let's just choose 2 end bays. Now we understand that these are purlins, so it's automatically trying to work out a suitable arrangement for positioning those. So you can see it's positioning them at the nodal points where the truss bracing is meeting the top chord. It's just positioning those. You can change this. You can have flexible arrangements here. You can play with the size of members that you might want to use here. Okay, you can also see that at the same time we're simultaneously also modeling sag rods. So you might be happy with that arrangement with the sag rods, and if you hit OK, then they'll be established in there. Okay, together. So both the purlins together with the sag rod system. okay, will be established within that element. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my GERT. So if I just choose to end columns here, we can key in the spacing of these. Okay, you can preview this here. Okay, and you can position these where you'd like to see them. Okay, you can fit them from the top if you wish. Okay, if it's more relevant, or down. Okay, it's up to you. And if you hit OK, then they will be also created. Okay. In fact, what I will do is I'll just go back to properties. I might just change the section and make that a bit bigger. It's a bit small. Okay, so same thing. While I'm doing that, I can also do the other side. So we can just come and grab these and just create them on the fly around the edge there. Now I'm just going to disappear back down to you'll recall when I was at the second floor. Okay. Sorry, when I was at the down below earlier, I'd created a grid line in here, and I'm just gonna stretch this because I want to make use of this. I'm just going to establish it back to the points that I had before, because I do want to use this as a positional element. So let me just stretch this out, and you'll see what I'm doing in a minute. So that's kind of a center line of that building. I just wanted to keep that. Okay, and let's come back up to the roof. So I'm going to maybe at the end here, I'm going to just use column, and maybe this time round I'll use a sort of a smaller column than I had before, maybe something like a 52. Okay, we can select this, and then I'm going to just orientate it differently. So I'm going to choose to orientate it 90 degrees, and I'm just going to assign that column in here. So you can see I've put a wind column in here. Now at the moment, you can see it's actually clashing with the cord of the truss. So if you just click on the column, and you can choose the extend column to member, and you can just choose that truss, and that's automatically been trimmed. So that's now just sitting directly on the slab, but it's been trimmed back to meet with the bottom cord of that truss, if that's what I'd like to provide. Okay, so I can copy this again, so I can go to the properties, and I may wish to assign the same member to the other end here. Okay, so let's just make sure I choose the right point. Okay, so that's also been established, and that automatically trimmed because it knew what we had provided before. Okay, now I could go back to the trusses here, and I can just come in and choose the GERTs here. I can just let me just choose the GERTs again, and we can just finish this off if we wanted to provide GERTs along the face here. Okay, now I could accept that. If I hit OK, that will be created. You could create additional GERTs further up if you want to use the frame member. You can have flexibility to be able to extend those GERTs up as well if that's what you'd like to do. Okay, and I can just run around the back here as well. Okay, so quickly we've done that. So I've got a bit of a unusual building here, but I really just want to be able to show you a lot of the different power and features that we have within the system. Now at this point, I'm going to choose the cladding command, and when I do that, it allows me to set up cladding panes. So I'm setting up different cladding planes here, and it's establishing that cladding. So I could choose these perimeter walls. It's up to me. I can choose whatever walls I like. Okay, I might want to adapt that later. Okay, but I can choose where I may be having my cladding. Okay. And once I've done that, I can select a cladding pane or plane, and we can start to work with loading in this. So if I choose that, you can see, and I'm going back into our load editor, but this time round I may wish to define some loading. So I can and then we can just box around, and you can see that pressure load's been added to the roof there. Okay, and you can assign this for different loads here. Maybe you've got a different live load that you wish to set up here. Okay, you can just come and do that. And you could also do it for things like wind loading. So if you wanted to, maybe you've got a pressure acting down or up. Okay, you can assign it in different directions and assign those. You can, if you wish to, maybe you've got localized pressures at the corners, or you want to add some additional loading to certain parts of the roof. Okay, you can come in and do that. Okay, so I think I need to reorientate that around the wrong way. So you can just quickly come in and create those additional loads in here. Okay. Now, if you're happy with this, you can just accept that. Okay, and then those loads are now assigned to the walls, and you can do similar things with the cladding. Okay, so again, you can just run around and assign different pressure loads here to suit what it is that you're wanting to show. So you can work your way around the building here and establish those loadings, those pressure loads to the structure. Now, what you can also do is if you click on a truss and I go to edit loads, we understand that this is a truss and it's pulled that truss out. It's an element here, and we could, if we would like, assign other types of loads to this truss. So I could, this is maybe where I might have wanted to create, say, a crane beam load case, for example, and I want to assign those maybe some moments, maybe some vertical loads. But we can come in and just choose. So I can, because we understand it's a truss, I can just select the different parts of the truss. Okay, I'm just assigning some sort of point loads along the truss there. So you can choose to assign it as a percentage of the length, or you can actually put the exact point you like in. You can also assign some partial loads. So if you wanted to, maybe I wanted to put a UDL sitting on the truss, okay, along that, I can also come and assign that. So you can set these up and you can assign them in different directions. Here you can choose the orientation of the loads, okay, depending on what it is. But all of this, you have the full flexibility to be able to assign any type of loading you like here. So hopefully now you can start to see the power of the new load editor, where you can make changes as you're going to various elements. Obviously, we're also automating most of the loading, so all the distribution of dead loads, live loads, the pattern loading, all that type of thing is being carried out automatically, but you have the full flexibility to be able to assign any type of loading that you like. Now I just want to continue to work with this model. Now if I come down to this lower floor level, you'll recall that we had modeled these columns, but we actually hadn't defined any supports for them. Now in this new release, we have dedicated support types where you can come and define different types of supports that you wish to use. So in here I could create a, I could define a support. It could be, we could call it, say, pinned coal support, and we can choose the nature of that support. So I'm going to choose a pin support. It could be a roller. It could be anything you like. Okay, you can define in here, and you can play with both translational and rotational fixities, as well as your spring stiffnesses. So you can define these in here, and you can set these up as supports. Now you can add these, and you can apply them to not just base of columns, but it could be the end of a cantilever beam. Maybe it's an adjacent support structure that you're wanting to model, or any other type of support structures. You could have a canopy, that type of thing, and you're wanting to set that up. So you can use this here to help you define these types of supports in here. So I'm just going to choose that, and that's been saved away. And if I go to that column now, if I come to the base of the column, we can come and assign that column support there. And you'll notice when I've done that, the support can now be viewed visually within the model. So I'll do this for both those columns, so that they're then fully supported. Fully supported in the model. So let's just update that, and you can see that those supports have then been assigned, and you can visualize these. Now if we go down a bit further, let's go down to the raft foundation level, okay, and I'll see this in the plan view. At this point I want to use that polyline tool again, and I'm just going to sketch out where I might like to have a raft. So I can just run around the edge of it and define the shape of this. And if I go back to my slabs, and I'm going to use the same command that we used earlier, so I can type in the thickness of the slab, pick closed slab edge, okay, and if I just choose that, then straight away we've defined our raft within the model here. So if I go to the 3D view, you can see that in here as well. So we've supported those columns as well as defined a raft at the base. Now at this point, I'm going to show you another extension of the edit load command, and this pertains to this particular floor. So if I'm looking at the first story there, I can also choose the load editor, and that load editor command will open up the loading, and I can visualize all the loading that's been assigned to that particular floor. Now you can turn loads on and off here, and you can choose to run through different types of loading here. But I would like to, at this point, I'm going to choose a new loading module that we have here called soil load. So if I click on soil load, and I can click on a wall, okay, so choose soil load, choose that face, and now opens up this new soil loading command. So this is a fantastic new command that we've introduced to allow you to assign pressure loads, both static and dynamic, and soil loads, as well as surcharges, water tables, all that type of thing that you traditionally need to do as part of a geotechnical model, a soil loading model, to this basement structure. So you can come in here and define this. Okay, you can come and choose your soil profile. I might be just having a layer of sand, which could be say 3 meters of depth. It might be the entire depth. Okay, we can then come and define our surcharges, so you can choose different types of surcharges here. Let's just remove the point load. I might just have a uniform surcharge loading of, say, 10 kilonewtons per square meter. That's something that's typical. And you can see that the loading here is adapted. Now we can also assign seismic loads in here, okay, that can all be set up in here. Once I've done that, I can just hit OK, and then that is assigned to the model there, and you can see the loading there. Now I can take this load and we can copy it, and we can run around the edge of the building here and just paste that loading to these other elements. So I'll just paste that, and you can see that that's been set up here to these other members here. And we'll just choose the other direction, okay, which is the PY direction, and again I can just click on this. Okay, maybe at this side of the building our loading is slightly different. So for example, maybe our sand layer is a couple of meters thick, and then there's maybe just a meter of rock. Okay, so you can redefine and create other types of maybe the site's varying and you've got different geotechnical conditions on different parts of the site. That can also be established in here, so you can just come in and edit this accordingly. Okay, let me just change the thickness of that there, so it's all the same. Okay, and then so if I wanted to, I could then take this and we can assign it to that wall there. So that's been assigned, and again I can copy that. Copy that, and then we can again choose the other wall and just paste that loading there, so you can see that there. Okay, so you can see all the different pressures there that are being assigned to the wall. That's nicely presented in that view. Okay, so very quickly I can just come in and define a soil pressure loading around the building. If you didn't want to do that, you wanted to just type in your own, you can use the wall area loads, okay, or variable surface loads. So there's other tools in here that you could use to equally enable you to achieve the same result. So very quickly I've come in and set that up, so if I just accept that, and then close this down, and you can see that we've now set that loading up within the structure. Now before I come to run the building analysis, I may wish to also just come and set up some other parameters that I want it to consider. So if I come into the edit story key, I can in here come and choose what the effective top story is. Now I have a very flexible roof at the top story. You know, I've defined my little warehouse structure sitting on top there. So you can come and just choose to ignore that in the effective story as an effective story, and when it does the checks, irregularity checks and the like, that will not be considered. Now I can also choose to choose the number of basement structures, and again this is very important because it will then, during the course of analysis, consider the basement and the actions of the basement. So it will then run a two-step analysis or two-stage analysis for seismic cases where the mass of the superstructure is participating but the basement isn't, and then the basement mass is participating with a period, or T is equal to 0, and the superstructure mass is not participating. So these will be run automatically, and then the results will be combined into an envelope. So I can just choose to accept that. You can provide other parameters here, so you can type in perhaps you want to call the basement floor or something, okay, and you might call the top roof. Okay, you have the ability to be able to label your floors in here as well. Okay, so if I could just accept that. Now at this point I want to move into establishing the analysis. So as part of that, I can also come in and define our seismic loading. So in here you can come and choose from different seismic maps. So here in Malaysia you can choose different locations for the seismic behaviour. There are maps in here that cover parameters that could be used across Malaysia. Peninsular Malaysia is fairly low in seismic loading. Let's just choose something from Sabah. Okay, and maybe I might choose Tawau. Tawau is a lovely place if you've never been there. It's got some off the coast of Tawau. There's some of the best diving sites in the world. Just some background there. So you can choose this, and then it will then automatically adapt the seismic loading to suit those local parameters. Now we have amongst the loadings code, there's the IBC, UBC, and we have local variations that cover loadings codes around the world. So if you're in, say, the Philippines or Indonesia or over in South America, local loadings code parameters are set there. So you'll see maps, and you can choose from different locations to suit those local preferences, and they'll all be adopted within the loadings here. So that just streamlines and makes that process very easy. You can also come in here and choose different soil parameters. So if you choose those, then these will naturally adapt. Okay, so you can just choose what might be appropriate for your site. Okay, the analysis. Okay, you can play with the number of modes that you want to run, any dampening considerations you may wish to make. Eccentricities are automatically applied to the model. We also have some very sophisticated checks that we're performing for irregularities. So whether they're irregularities in plan or irregularities in elevation. So maybe you've got irregularities due to very large differences in mass or big differences in stiffnesses. These will be automatically picked up by the software, and any penalties that need to be applied will be established, okay, and automatically applied. So if you have severe torsional irregularities in plan, for example, that are more than 5%, we will calculate those, we will work out what they are, we will then automate the analysis to and iterate the analysis to apply those increased torsion levels. Now we also have detailed checks for strong column, weak beam, as well as joint shear checks, and with this version these have been enhanced significantly, and we've also enhanced the reporting and visualization of those, which I'll show you later. You can also come and scale. The ProtoStructure automatically scales your equivalent static base shear to your response spectrum analysis, or the RSA results to the base shear results. Typically this is 100%, but some codes allow a reduction in that, so you could scale up your RSA results perhaps to 85 or 90% for some codes. So you have the flexibility in this version to be able to define those levels. Okay, so this is just us providing you with increasing levels of flexibility to suit your local requirements. So if I can accept that, we can then move into establishing the model options. So I'm going to this time around, I'm going to merge the foundation model together with the superstructure. So what we're doing here is we're taking that raft foundation that we just created, and we're instantly merging it with the superstructure, and we're just going to create one model. Okay, so this used to be a two-step process where you ran the building analysis first, and then later on you could merge the foundation with it. Now we're just doing this instantly on the fly. So just create one big model together with the raft foundation. You can define the springs for the raft foundation, and different stiffness parameters can be established here as well. Now I'm going to choose to use shells for my walls. I'm also going to come and choose to mesh certain slabs in the model. So I've got that flat slab at story 5. So I'm going to ask the analysis to mesh that slab, and you can define different parameters for the meshing here as well. Now the analysis is just a button, okay, and I'm going to run the analysis now, okay. At the same time, I can also come and choose to do the design, okay, and this is just an integrated process. It's just going to run all this in one shot, okay. Pre-analysis, you can do building checks to check your model, make sure everything's okay, so it will intelligently review the model and make sure it's okay. Now as part of this review, it also picks up things like transfer columns. So here I've got some columns at level 6 that I know are sitting on top of that flat slab. So it's just establishing that and asking you if that's your intention. I can accept that, and then it's going to move on. So here you can see it's running through the analysis, it's preparing data. Okay, this has been really streamlined in recent releases, so you'll see compared with previous versions of ProtoStructure, this is significantly faster. Okay, and even for very large models where we've got significant performance gains in this area. So we've run the prepared the data. The analysis is finished. That just took 5 seconds, and we're now moving into the design. Now during the analysis process, it is doing a number of different checks. So it's checking for those irregularities that I was mentioning earlier. It's also checking for displacement. So if you've got significant displacements in maybe interstory drifts or in vertical deflections, they're also being automatically picked up here. And we're now also going through, obviously, and designing everything. So it's batch designing everything for the entire building. Okay, this is a batch process where it's trying to optimize the design to suit the parameters that you've provided here. Okay, so I'm just running through, I'm designing everything, the concrete work, the steel work, all this is being done instantly. Okay, and the detailed checks are being performed to satisfy your local codes of practice. So if you're designing something in Indonesia, for example, using the SNI codes there, or perhaps you're working in Thailand, or maybe you're in Europe and you're designing to the Polish EC codes. So all these local checks will be done in accordance with those local parameters. Okay, so we're almost done here, just a few more seconds and that model will be finished. Okay. Now post-analysis, we will be able to, we can review the model, okay, and we can come and check the status of the design. So this is done. Okay, you can see post-analysis there'll be a number of checks that will be highlighted to you. Okay, you can see and review these checks for things like irregularities and so on. It will highlight to you whether what's the nature of those structures, and you can go in and review those in detail. Okay, now post-analysis, I may just want to come in and interrogate the model. So let's just open up the analysis. Model. Okay, this can be displayed together with the physical, so you can just easily review the analysis model. Okay, actually I'll just I don't want to dock that. Let me just go and open another view. So you can have multiple views of different parts of the model here. Okay, and you can choose how you'd like to visualize things. Now, when you come into here, the interesting thing that you'll notice is that all the meshing that we set up, okay, has been automatically, it's provided appropriate seed nodes. So the connectivity between, say, the raft foundation and those basement walls has been automatically established by the mesh. So the mesh is adaptive meshing. The seed nodes there at the base are automatically provided. Okay, all of this is being done instantly. Even the beams that we had within that mesh earlier, okay, they've all been instantly framed out. Okay, so it's very intelligent meshing. Okay, and you can come and have a look at the analytical model there. Now we might just want to start to look at some of the results here. So perhaps you'd be interested to look at, say, maybe you're interested in to look at the axial load due to dead. Okay, or perhaps you'd like to see a particular combination. You can come and review that. Maybe you're interested in a moment. Okay, they're acting. You can filter out. So if you just want to focus in on a story, maybe you've got a target floor that you'd like to look at in more detail, you can. Okay, if you mouse over a particular member, okay, you can come in and interrogate that in more detail. So if I want to see this member more closely, I can. Okay, you can choose to look at different diagrams here, so you can look at individual load cases, seismic and the like. And you can also come and have a look at, you can look at the whole envelope. You could also pick on a particular case. So maybe I'm interested in the Dead Plus Live, and I'd just like to know what is the displacement of that member at its mid-span. So it's only 1 millimeter. So I think for that span, then the deflections will be fine. Okay, so you can come in and just interrogate this however you like, and you can turn on, maybe you wanted to know if there's any torsion in the member, but a very small amount of torsion. So all this results can be reviewed here and interrogated if you're wanting to look at things in more detail. Now, if I come out, maybe I'd like to come in and look at the lower levels more closely. So again, I'll just highlight the lower level, and I might want to see the raft foundation combined with the basement walls. So once I come into here, I can move into looking at, say, contours, for example. And so you can see contours here, and you can look at different contour results. So you can see here, I'm looking at an area of steel. Okay, I'm looking at an area of steel in the basement slab there. Okay, you can see that the way that this is interacting with the walls. Okay, you can get a feel for the behaviour there. Okay, and you can choose to look at different things. So maybe you're wanting to look at moments, okay, in different directions. Okay, you're wanting to look at the behaviour there of that, or maybe you're interested in looking at what's the maximum steel in the X direction in the top, the basement there, or on the bottom. Okay, so again, all of this will be or in the opposite direction, so you can get a feel for the design here. Now, the other nice thing you can do here is you can turn on or off different elements within this view. So if I just wanted to look at, say, the shear walls, maybe I'm interested to see if there's any local pressures are acting on the shear wall for given cases. Okay, I could come in and have a look at this in more detail here. Okay, so there's soil pressure cases and the like. They can be easily come in here and interrogate and review them. So you can isolate maybe the walls, or perhaps you just wanted to look at the slab. Okay, and maybe you're interested in the soil pressure in the slab, and you can see what those values are here. Okay, so you can easily come in and just interrogate and review the model and focus in on the things that are important to you. So let's look at the model in its entirety again. I might just we can include the shear walls. I'll just turn off the contours for the time being. Okay, and what I might like to look at is, if I go back to the results, is I may be interested to look at the behaviour of this under certain conditions. So maybe it's excitation, and I want to look at how that's behaving in the extraction under earthquake with a positive eccentricity. So we can have a look at the behaviour there. Maybe I'd like to see that in the Y. Okay, so this is all dynamic, and you can see instantly that behaviour there of that structure. Okay, you can also look at other effects. So if you're wanting to look at modal behaviour, I'd like to see a fundamental period there of the building. Okay, I can look at different periods in X and Y directions. Okay, and you can see the values of the periods there are being indicated to you. You can also look at higher modal behaviour. Okay, you can see the dynamics at play within the structure. So all of this within this model you can interrogate, and you can see that behaviour together with the raft foundation. Yeah, okay, so you can see how that's behaving at the base there. Okay. So once you're happy with this, we can dive in and take a look at the design. So if I come to the review button, I can come and check the design status here, and we can see the status of the design there. So you can see that most of the elements in that structure have been designed. Okay, you can toggle this on and off to look at those effects. Okay, and we can then move into the design tab. So in here I've got various elements that we would want to consider to design. So at the moment I've got the columns. So if I click on the columns, you'll see that they've been designed, and we've just done this in a batch process. You can interrogate different parts of this. So if I wanted to come and have a look at the maybe a wall, okay, one of the walls, for example, we can come and have a look at that in detail. You can see the various checks that are being performed here. interactive design. Okay, there are detailed design reports here. You can also look at interaction diagrams, okay, for the wall. Obviously this has got a large bending capacity about its major axis and a small bending capacity about its minor, so you can see that, and you can see what's critical in terms of design. So all of this is being highlighted to you here. Okay, you can also, we will also check for things like wall design envelopes, critical wall height checks, and the containment detailing associated with those, particularly for seismic considerations, will be performed. Okay, now if you come to the beams and click on the tab, you'll notice that all the beams here have been designed. If you select the beam, you can come in and interrogate this in more detail, so you can see the arrangement of bars that the program has selected. You can also look at pertinent information, so maybe you're interested in looking at the envelope for this beam, or you're interested in particular cases or load combinations or cases. You can come and review these. Okay, you can also come out. Now this is dynamic too, so if you do want to make changes on the fly, perhaps you want to have, instead of 3H12s, you want to use 316s, you can make changes here just to adapt this to suit the arrangements that you have. Now if you do just click on this quickly, you can just get a little preview of what you might actually end up with. So you can get a bit of a preview of the detail there before you actually go out to create your drawings. Now in here you also have the option to group. So if you choose automatic grouping, you can group all similar axes, okay, and if you group all axes, then it's automatically grouped all those members into groups. So if you just see there's equal signs here, that's representing what items are grouped. You can see the various groupings here. If you just click on the relevant group, then you'll notice the other members that are within that group. Okay. Now we've also, with this release, introduced a new optimized rebar layers or multi-layer pattern. So you might recall before when I was looking at the settings and parameters that you do have options here for different design patterns. Okay, and there are options in here for rebar patterns that you can choose from. Various pattern arrangements. Okay, so these multi-layer patterns, if you find that the design for what we would typically use for say 2 layers is not working, you can just select multi-rebar patterns and it will optimize those beams that aren't passing into additional layers. So maybe you need 3 layers or 4 layers. It will just automatically come in and do this for you. So that's a great new feature that's part of the new beam redesign that we've worked on with the introduction of Protostructure 2022. So I could also similarly check the design for the steelwork. So you can just choose a truss, okay, and you can look at the member design for the truss. Okay, the truss is being reported as a member. Okay, it will highlight to you things like slenderness ratios where maybe they're not quite satisfying. You know, so in terms of strength provisions, they may have all passed, but maybe slenderness here is not quite there. So you can come in here and make changes on the fly if you wanted to change these sections and adapt them accordingly. It's up to you. It depends on how efficient you wish to be with your design. Okay. Now, if I come down to the foundation level, okay, and if and I'll just say this in plan. You'll notice that there's those 2 columns that we were just assuming were being supported. You can come in here and choose how you might like to, what kind of foundation system you might like to have for those. So maybe for this item I actually want to pile them because they're close to the basement. I want to bring the loads down further. So I can just ask it to design those pile caps, okay, and then assign a design to those. So you can see here I've got those pile caps are now designed. Okay, and if we look in the 3D plan view, you can see that they've also been established here. Okay, so I'm sort of done a number of different designs for this structure. So I've designed my concrete work for the beams, columns, walls. I've also done the roof here for the steel work. I may just want to touch on perhaps the slabs. So if you come into the software here, you can also come and set the slab types automatically, and it will work out the edge configurations for the slabs. So it's working out whether it's continuous or maybe it's a free edge. Okay, and then once you've done that, you can then within the slabs you can come and define slab strips. So I can set up different types of slab strips here, and then we can just cut strips through the model here, and you can see as I'm doing this, it's automatically detailing out those strips. So you can just quickly carry strips through. It will detail those out. Okay, I won't do everything. I'll just give you an example of how this works. You can cut strips in X and Y. Okay, and it's then using the code coefficient approach to design those slabs. Now, similarly, you can also use a finite element approach if that's what you wish to do. Okay, and it will also come in and design those arrangements here. So here you can see I'm just running through and doing that design. So you can see all the rebars have now been assigned within that model there. Okay. Now you do have the choice. You can use conventional bars. You can also use mesh. Okay, so you can define those parameters in the materials and then design it accordingly. So just within a few seconds we've done the design. Now there are some new features with the slab design. So if you do go back to slab analysis and design, you can see that we've got those slabs here, those slabs that I've just defined here. Okay, and those slab strips are here, and you can see the various permutations of reinforcement in here. So you can come in and make changes in here. So this is all new. It's a great new interface, and you can make changes and adapt this accordingly in here as well. So if you do want to make changes to the design, similar to the beams and columns and other elements, we now have a really nice new interface for the slab design, and you can just work with us intelligently to adapt it accordingly to what you're wanting to see. Okay. Now, I've kind of reached a point where maybe I want to just start to document the design. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to come out to Protodetails. Now, Protodetails is our dedicated tool for drawing and detailed documentation. Okay, and this has been specially developed to suit structural detailers. Okay, now, at its heart, it's a complete CAD system. So in Protodetails, you can happily draft any type of elements you like. Okay, and you can use it as a complete CAD tool. So it's working in DWG. All the commands are familiar to what you'd find with other leading CAD systems. So if you're using, say, AutoCAD, for example, you'll find all the commands are the same. Okay, and it's working in a DWG format. Now at this point, I just want to ask it to come and create my drawings. Okay, so I'm just going to choose Auto Generate Drawings. I can choose what I want to draw. I'm going to insert them to a sheet, and I can come in here and choose my sheet sizes. So you can choose how you want to lay them out. You can play with things in here, like maybe I want to call something a key plan and I want the reference to be KP. You can come and do that. You can also come in here and play with the way things are, for example, truncated. Maybe I want to truncate my beams close to the sheet border. I can play with scales. So all of this you can customize to suit how you'd like to go about producing. So once I've done that, I can then ask the software to just come in and start to generate that out. So you can see here it's put my title block into the sheet, okay, and it's now starting to now moving into that process of creating. Okay, so you can see it's just working its way through this. Okay, it's actually very efficient. Okay, if you just give it a few seconds, you'll start to see the magic at work. Okay. Right, so you can see, you'll just notice here that you can see that basement key plan, okay, is being created. Okay, and but in addition to that, you can, if I zoom out, you can see that all the drawings that we have, that entire model, have all been created in one shot. Okay, and you can imagine the amount of time that this would save you if you are having to produce this for any type of building, but especially if you're doing, say, a large multi-story building or maybe a complex bungalow. So if you come in here, you can see those details. Okay, you can see key plans here. This would be your title block, so we'd just be laying it out into your sheets, you can come and see various drawings here. Okay, you can see things like set out plans. Okay, so you can see set out against grid. You can also see those walls there where we've got the special containment detailing at the ends there to meet those higher moments that may be due to earthquake loading and the like. So you can also present, you can see things like openings in here. You can also review your columns, and you can see the ductile. I'm using medium ductile detailing has been employed to Eurocode for this particular example. Okay, so you can come and see how they're being created. Now, if I come down, there's other ways we can present information. So if you prefer to use a schedule, you can, and you can see for this here, you can see that the columns that are similar are all automatically being grouped. So this is intelligent. We understand what's similar. Okay, it's automatically grouping and refining and reducing the numbers of elements that we have there. Okay. Now, similarly for the beams, okay, you can see that similar beams we understand, and they're automatically being grouped. Okay, and you can see the details there. Now, there's no example in here, but if beams do get too long, we will automatically cut and truncate them, and then we will move the details down. Now, you are in CAD, so if you'd like to pick up if you want to, let me just get that a little bit better. If you want to just pick up a detail, okay, and move it around, maybe you want to reposition it elsewhere in the drawing, you can. Okay, so all of this can be done here. Okay, and you also have the ability to be able to chop and cut and highlight in here. So this is where we are providing additional functionality to be able to allow you to adapt and suit the design. Now, what you'll also notice in here is that we also within the details here, you can see that there are bar marks. So this is 3H16s, which is the high strength bar used often across in much of Asia. And it's position mark 14. So if I come over to here, you'll see that there's a table, 14, 16 of them, there's 12 altogether, 5.5 meters long, 66.6 meters in total, and here's my bar bending schedule. Now, I know for this drawing, for the 16s is actually 1485.9 meters of steel, 2,348 kilograms. For everything within this drawing, there's 8.6 tons of steel. Now, this includes everything, the laps, the links, everything here is being quantified. So if you're needing to compare different schemes, okay, you're easily able to do this. Now, what you can also do is interact with this. So this is an object. We understand everything about this bar. These are intelligent objects that we're working with here, so we understand its positioning, its cover, how many there are, even its lap lengths. All of this is understood. Now, if you want to make changes in here on the fly, you can. So say I wanted to change that from a 16 to say a 20, for example. I can do that, okay, and you can see that it's now updated. But at the same time, we're also updating the quantities. So you can see that that's now increased 600 odd kilograms, I believe, to 8.66 tons of steel. So all of these types of changes you can make in here. You can work with this. You can just position things to suit within your drawings. There are also other ways to present information. Maybe you don't want to provide everything. You just want to provide a schedule, okay, of information. You can see schedule here. Similar beams also grouped in here. So if you just like to provide less information at the start of a project, you can also do that. You can also see your foundations in here. All of this can be provided. Now, in the interest of time, I won't go into our comprehensive design library, but in here you can see that there's a range of different design macros, and these allow you to design and detail different parts of the structure very quickly. So you can come and choose some of these, whether it's a cantilever wall or stairs and so on. You can choose. If you're doing other elements, maybe you've got pit foundations or culverts, or there's other things that you need to do to complement your building or project design, then there's little tools in here that you can make use of, and they're very powerful and provide a lot of capability to provide those additional requirements to suit your job. Okay. So I've now designed a lot of the concrete work. If I come back to my model now, and actually before I do, I just want to show you one more thing in here I forgot. Okay, so you remember I did did create those slabs, okay, and we also have a tool in here that allows you just to cut sections through these slabs. So if I do cut a section through, okay, you can see that we are actually creating the details here. So this is actually, we're using physical objects within the slabs there, and you can choose to cut sections through at different locations through the model, okay, and then we will produce those slab details here. So if you come in here, you can see the slab detailing in those various sections. So if you've done the detailing out in ProtoStructure, you can then come in and produce slab detailed drawings in here as well. Okay, something probably we don't highlight enough. Okay, now if I come back to ProtoStructure, I now want to come in and look at the steelwork. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to load ProtoSteel. So what we've done is we've done the analysis and design of the steelwork within ProtoStructure, but of course to complement the design or to complete the design, we also need to consider the steel design in here. So now I've steel connection design. So I've come in here into ProtoSteel. Now the first thing you'll notice is that there's a brand new interface here. We've completely redeveloped this whole interface to align us with the way in which we work with ProtoStructure. So along the top here, you'll see that there's different tabs. So you've got the general steel elements, you've got IntelliConnect, you've got Edit, View, Drawings, Reports, other tools that you can use, as well as BIM. Okay, so it's laid out logically in how you'd use it. Now along the left here, you'll see that there's also this new macro gallery. Okay, so if you just click on the macro gallery, you can see that there's different types of connections here that we might want to commonly employ. And you'll see that there's some new connections that we've added here. There's a new beam to beam angle cleat connection that we've recently added. Okay, you can dive down and look in here. There's a new wind column connection that's been created, but there's other things like haunches and welding and stiffen end plates and so on. So there's a range of different types of connections in this macro gallery that you would typically use within a project. Okay, so bracing connections, splice connections, purlin and girt connections. There's even connections to there's even ancillary steelwork like if you're doing checker plates or railings and the like that can be done. There's even connections where you may be connecting to concrete work. Okay, so there's a broad range of connections in here. Now how this works is if I just come into this model here, okay, I can just zoom in, okay, and we can look at a particular connection. So I might be interested in this purlin and how it's going to connect to this truss. So we can just choose that macro from the gallery here, and I can choose the two. So the way this works is you can choose the two elements. Okay, let me just do that again. Sorry, I'll just collect and I'll just click out. Okay, so you can just come and choose the connection here. Choose those two elements, and if you right click, the connection will be automatically created for you here. Now this is a macro, so if I just you'll notice there's the symbol here that just represents that it's a macro. Okay, and if you click on that, it'll open up this macro, and in here you've got various tools that can define this macro. So I may want to have a different type of macro. Maybe it's a bracket that I want to assign. I may want to reverse that because it's just clashing there, have it on the other side. Okay, maybe I'd like to have a maybe I want to have a bracket, sorry, a folded plate. Okay, or I want to have a plate from the same profile. So you can come and customize this to suit what it is that you would like to have in terms of your steel connection. So I might just keep that as an angle plate. Okay, and then I can just set that up there, maybe something like that. Now I may want to employ other connections. So let's just look to connect the beam to the column here, and I can come and choose from a range of connections that I might want to use. So maybe for this example we'll use a stiffen end plate, and we can just come and choose those two elements, right click, and then it will assign this. Now again, underneath this macro, okay, we are also doing other checks. So if I come to the drawings and reports, and I'll just come and click create, you can see for that particular connection here, okay, we are actually building the connection of that we're actually creating the design of this connection. So all the detailed design checks are being performed here, and you can walk through the report clause by clause, and you can look at in detail the various checks that we're performing. So end plate checks, back plate checks, beam web at end checks, welding checks. There's all sorts of checks that we're performing in here to satisfy the code. So they're fully documented there, and you can see those checks live here. Okay. Now, maybe I don't want to have to design everything one by one. So we have a very unique, powerful tool in Protosteel for designing connections very rapidly, and that's IntelliConnect. So if I click on this and I want to run IntelliConnect, I can just choose to maybe create my purlins, and I can choose what I want to create, okay, and then I can just run it, simply run it, and it's now looking at all the purlins across that whole roof, and it's come and designed them, okay. Now I can just come in and see, and you can just see that we've now connected these. Now this is intelligent, so it understands that this is at the end, and I only need a couple of bolts to properly connect that to the truss, whereas here I've got two purlins butting up against each other, so I need 4 bolts. So it's intelligently assessing these connections and working out suitable connections for constructability. Now I want to carry on, so I'm just going to select that model again, and this time round I'm going to ask it to design my girts. So again, I can choose a preference here for the type of girt connection I wish to use, and again I can just run this, and it's just going to batch design the girts there. Okay, so they're done. Okay, and again, if I just right click, we can just carry on. So I might also want to at the same time do the sag rod connections. So again, it's just assessing all those different sag rods, and it will try to connect as much of this model as we can possibly connect automatically. Okay, so it's done there. Okay, and if we just again zoom in, we can see that a number of different connections have been made here. So you can see our connection there to the for the purlin to the column. Okay, you can see our sag rod connections here. Okay, and we can also see our purlin connections have also been applied. Now maybe at this end bay here, I'd like to just come in, and if I just select that end bay, okay, I want IntelliConnect to assess this truss. So I'm going to ask it to design the truss connections. So if I just hit run, what you might notice is it's just working its way across the truss there, and it's trying to come up with the most efficient connection design it can. Okay, and that's done. Now if I come in and look at the truss, you can see that we've made a number of these connections here. Okay, have been established. Okay, so there's welded connections there as well as bolted connections at the end. Now these are macros, and as I mentioned to you, you can just see that these bolts are just slightly protruding. Okay, and if I just go into the macro, you can see this. Now we have with this version also indicated the various distances that we're using. So we're trying to use standard acceptable parameters that are typically used to enable steelwork construction. But these are all adaptable, so if you wanted to make changes in here, okay, maybe I want to just reduce the heights there, and maybe I want to extend the plate at the base. Okay, we can just apply that, and you can see I've just tweaked this to make that connection more suitable. Okay, for at that location. So you can just adapt these, tweak these little joints to suit your local constructability requirements. Now, of course, we've got to create drawings from this, and the way we do this is that we can look at various intersecting elements like this massive connections here, and we can present these. So the way we do that is we use this detailing item manager. So if I click that, so if I select this joint here and I click on the detail item manager, I can give this a name. We can call this, say, truss 1, and I'm going to just add that, and then I can select the objects that I may wish to have in the connection view. So I'm just going to choose these items here. So we can just come and choose these different items. If I right click, you can see that there's been a box created around this connection. Now this allows me to look at different views through the model. So you can see here that you've got a box, and you can just choose views that you'd like to see. So I might want a perspective from the end there. I might want to look down on top. Maybe I want to look from the end. So you can choose these different perspectives. You can also add 3D perspectives here, so you can create different views of that joint. Now, now similarly, I could also come up to maybe this purlin connection here. Let's go back to this. Okay, and we can give this a name, so I can call this PC1, and we can also add that. And then I can just select the objects that I want to include. So maybe I've got another box around here. Okay, and again I can choose the views that I'd like to have. So maybe I want to view at the back there. Maybe I want to view looking this end. Could be the other way. Okay, and again I'd like to maybe have a 3D view. So you can just come in here and choose the perspectives that you'd like to see. Okay, and then so you can just run around the model and just choose the appropriate joints that you would like details for. So once I've done that, we can then choose to create different views through the model. Now this is a 3D physical BIM model, and I can choose different elevations and perspectives here. So let me just, sorry I didn't quite get that snap right, so let me just choose some nodes there. Okay, let me just, okay. And you can see there that I've created an elevation of that truss. Now this is a complete elevation up the whole building, so other concrete elements and so on can be highlighted here, but you can see complete elevation of that truss there. And what I can then do is come into the drawings here, and I'm going to come to my drawing manager, and I can create a drawing. So let's just call this truss elevation. Okay. Okay. If I hit OK, you can see that that truss has been established there. Okay, and if I just close this down, okay, I can then just come and drag that view and create a viewport within the model. So you can see this truss elevation has been established here. Now what I can do with this is that once I've got this in, we can actually start to work with it. So if I'd like to maybe provide dimensioning perhaps to these purlins here, I can just come in and you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just snapping to points to establish the dimensions that I'd like to see. Okay, maybe the midspan there, the apex there, and you can see those dimensions there that have been carried out. Now, what you also notice is that there's these circles that are defining those connections that where we have taken the different perspectives that we'd like to see. To establish those, so I just click on this box here, and you can see that instantly we've drawn these up. Okay, so those different perspectives of those joints have now been created here. And these are, you can see these connections here, and you can see the different views. You can play with how these labeling is done and how these are presented. Okay, so all of this is dynamic here. You can see different perspectives and views that we've created. We've also got these 3D views. You can choose how you want to annotate. So maybe in this 3D view here, I'd like to just annotate the bolts as well, so that it's very clear to anybody who's constructing that how that's to be put together. Okay. Now you can also see our other views here, so our purlin connections and so on. If you'd like to, sorry if I just click on this. If you'd just like to do different things with these, you can. Sorry, I'm just moving these out of the way just to make it a bit clearer. Okay. You can, if you wish, just remove elements. So if I click on if I click on this and I just like to remove it because it's in the way, you can do that. So you can just clean these up to suit the what you're wanting to show. Okay, but maybe what I'd like to do is also provide some dimensioning annotations. So again, you've got tools in here to help you with that. Okay, and it's all very smart. So you notice there I've put that dimensioning command down below, but it's known to sort of cut back the elements there so that they're very clear and easy to understand. Okay, so if I come back to this view, you'll notice that those are now annotated in the view, so TR1 and PC1. But what it also knows is that this connection is also similar. So PC1 and PC1 here are the same. Similarly over here, they're the same. And again at the end here, so we understand what's similar. So the connection grouping, so intelligent grouping has also been carried out. So it understands how you're connecting things and what's similar, and then it's providing those references as well. Okay. So very quickly you can see you can create fantastic detailing of all your connections, different elevations and views through the model here in your engineering drawings. If I come back to the model here, I'm going to select the entire model, and I'm going to ask it to number this. So I can ask it to perform numbering. Let's just apply and start the numbering. What it's doing now is it's numbering every single element within that model, that steelwork model that we've created. And once I've done that, I can then come and choose to select maybe that end frame that we were looking at before. You can choose the elements that you want to select, and if I right click on this and I go to create drawings, now I can choose to create part or assembly drawings here. Let's create an assembly drawing, and what you can see here is it's now starting to build out the assembly. Okay, so it's just automatically creating these, and you can see it's sort of running through and producing the details. And if I go back to our drawing manager again, you'll see that a number of drawings have been created here. So I'm just going to choose the landscape drawing, and if I just open this up, you can see it's just generating out those details. Now if we come into this, you can see now it's automatically created our complete shop drawings here. So you can see all the detail, the bolts, the lengths of elements. You can see the different welds that are required for those welded joints that we had. Okay, you can see the different configurations here where we've got an end plate and welding. All the detail that would be needed to create shop drawings or fabrication detailing is all being produced here. It's smart, so this drawing sheet, it's actually truncated the details, so it's just cutting them and making them a little bit more compact, so you're not taking up so much drawing space. But every single element that's gone into creating those drawings here is being detailed out here, right down to every single plate, right down to every single nut, bolt. Everything here is being automatically created. And what we're also doing in here is quantifying everything, so you can see a full list of all the materials that are required, okay, different grades of steel, numbers of plates and weight and so on, as well as right down to every single bolt that we've used on this drawing. So we can get down to provide any sort of level of information you like. Okay, so it's really fantastic the level of detail that you can go to now within Protosteel. Now once we've finished, we can come in and document other things as well. We have this comprehensive report manager here, and this can be used to help you create all your various design reports. So you can add all the available reports into this manager here. So various reports that we've created as we've been going are filed here, and then you can come and document this, so it can produce the various reports that the software has created to date. And that can be, whether it's various design reports or post-analysis check reports. All these are clearly documented here, and you can see them in a PDF format here. These can also be sent to Word, okay, and you can create them in Word, and you can edit them accordingly if you wish. Okay. Now you can also just tally through and just look at particular parts of the report. So you might be interested in the pilecap design, and you can see the detailed calculations that have gone into satisfying the design here. Okay. Now we are continuing to enhance this, so you're going to see more and more detail that goes into these reports. We are going to be providing full calculation documentation for the other parts of the foundations, as well as the beam design that's coming. So you're going to see that this report, aside from being summary and detail, we're going to be providing all the details, so clause by clause, code by code clause, referencing to these calculations you're going to be seeing progressively over the next couple of releases. Okay, so here you can see that we've created our whole model. Okay, now the last thing I just wanted to show you, just to end with today, is I'm just going to come down to level 2 or 3. Let's just say level 3. Okay, and what I'd like to do here is I'm just going to take these grid lines and I'm just going to stretch them out. Okay, And just want to finish on this note, so we can just pull them out a little bit. Okay, let's just create another grid line. I'll just offset an axis here. Maybe it's to here. Okay, and we can also create partial offsets. So let's just offset an axis to the center there. Okay, I've got another grid line down here. Okay, I'm going to take the parameters for, say, this column here. Or in fact, I can just grab these ones over here. No, let's use the circular ones, and we can assign them here. Okay, and here, obviously, I'll need to re-establish my analysis at some point while I'm doing this. Okay, let's just sorry, I just want to let me just delete. Let's get this right. Okay. So let me just place these here. That's more like it. Okay, they're getting a bit small. So let's just let's go to the properties. I just want to quickly insert some beams here. Okay, and I could provide a slab in here. Okay, we can just create the properties of that in here. Let's just go to the slab properties. Okay, and I'm going to insert the by beam region. Okay, so slab's then created. Now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to just insert an opening. Okay, so let's just call it a circular opening. Okay, and I'm just going to create that opening in here. Okay, which I've done. Okay, and I'm now just going to show you this in both 2D and 3D so you can see what I'm up to. Okay. And at this point I may just want to go to our little new command called Steel Dome. So if I click on this, I can just choose some points. Okay, let me do it in plan here. So let's just choose points to insert this dome. Okay, and you can see a preview of a dome here, and you can come and work with this. So you can maybe want to reduce the number of elements, maybe it's 10 for example. Okay, you want to play with maybe single purlins. You want different types of sections you can have. Okay, you can play with the geometry, so the spacing of supports, maybe it's 5. Okay, you've got segmented or single. You can just adapt this to suit how you'd like them to be. One, I might have one fill, 2 empty, or 2 fill, 2 empty. So you can see here you can play with the bracing around this, and you can just come and adapt this to suit. And once you're happy with this, you can then just come and assign it, and that dome will be created inside your model here. Okay, and similar to what I was showing you before, you can load this up, you can design it. Okay, you can produce all your detailed drawings from it. Okay, it's just a fantastic new little feature that that some of our users have been asking for. Okay. Now the last exciting new feature I'm going to show you today is our new formwork design. Just click on any element in the model, say for example this slab, and Protostructure will actually design and detail out your formwork. So you can see the slab panel with the various supports here for that, and that's been designed in past. Similarly, if you wanted to maybe select a beam, okay, and again you can just choose formwork design, it will go away and design it. Or alternatively it could be, say, a wall panel. Okay, so any of the elements within here you can easily come in and now design the formwork for these. Okay, it's a great new little feature that maybe you're having to tackle with some of the projects that you're working with on site, but again it's a great new addition to what we have with Protostructure 2022. So I hope you enjoyed what I've shown you with the Protostructure today. And I think it's fantastic what we've been up to in terms of the new 2022 version. I've not been able to show you everything today that we have in the time that we've spent. I know that I've gone over time, but I would encourage, if you want to find out more, you can refer to my colleague Mustafa's webinar from last week, as well as look at a lot of the documentation that we have online covering the new features, and that includes the help and support documentation. So obviously I've taken you through parts of the new Protostructure 2022. I've not been able to give it the full justice. There is a huge amount in these releases that we're issuing out. We're actually issuing out new content all the time. So just in the last, well, since March, the official release in March, there have been 3 other major updates. These updates include new functionality. So anything that we find that we, any issues that we resolve, as well as new functionality is being periodically or regularly introduced into the software. Now, if you do click on these details, it will tell you exactly what's been delivered with each release. It's fully documented so you can understand what we've been up to and what new features that you can take advantage of. Okay. We also, as I mentioned earlier, have been writing a lot of white papers, so take a look at that. You can actually access them without having to go into our help systems on the website. So there's an option there, white papers, and you'll see that there's a very large number of different technical papers that we've been writing to explain a lot of the capabilities and also make comparisons with code. Okay, so this just provides you with a lot of the insight into what we're doing, but also, I guess, shows you the step-by-step processes that we're going through in terms of validating our designs. We also have a very comprehensive help center. So for existing users, please make use of this. There's a lot of reference material, videos in here. I think there's about 30 or 40 how-to videos that cover different aspects of the software that you can refer to. Our webinar recordings are in there as well. Okay, there's also other reference manuals, training guides. All of this is available to you there. Also check out our YouTube channel. I know that last week Mustafa Patan gave a presentation on the new features, just specifically focusing on just the new features in ProtoStructure 2022. So if you do want to know more from today's session, check that out. But also check out the YouTube channel. There's a lot of very interesting content in there, delivered in a range of different languages. Check it out, and we will periodically introduce new videos into here and any webinars that we're presenting. Finally, please connect and contact us. Okay, we are available on all platforms of social media. So whether you're using LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're there. You can connect with us. You can keep up to date with a lot of the developments that we're making. If you're also interested in any of the technology that you've seen today, please reach out to us. Okay, if you are in Asia, and I mean Asia Pacific, from India across to Philippines, up to China, down to New Zealand, where I'm from, you can contact us through asiasales@protosoftware.com. Elsewhere in the world, reach us at globalsales@protosoftware.com. And don't forget to check out the website. There's a lot of great material on the website, including a lot of clips and insight into what we're up to. So we'd love to hear from you, love to get your feedback. Keep in touch and keep abreast with what we're doing. So on that note, I'd just like to thank you very much for today. You've been very patient with me, and I hope you are excited and enjoyed a lot of what I covered today. And we look forward to continuing to introduce you to new exciting developments as this year progresses. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.